Parking study ang ikaupat mo. Nako'y parking ka dito nga pangitaon sa nako ang parking ako ang para kung nawala siya din. Yeah, saan parking ha? Okay. Makita nga ninyo tanan?
Traffic studies?
Oo. And then today is parking. Okay ra?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so run through lang nako. This is not really a lesson. Run through lang siya. Pero, sige, if you want to take this as a discussion, pwede ra po. And I'm inviting everyone, di ba, Jeff, sa tanan? Dili mo ni siya katurang isa ka section, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Isa nag-open sa ikaw, Jeff?
Sa recording, ma'am?
Oo, pal-record na lang, Jeff.
Yes, ma'am. The-record na ko, ma'am.
So, I'll run through parking because you initially discussed parking. So, this is just run through of how parking data collection is made and then how we analyze, or I'll give you an idea on some pag-analyze, and then later on, I'll give the exercise for parking. Okay, so usually when we talk about parking, we are really concerned with either on-street and off-street parking application because ang parking ng good sa dalan maka-delimit, magamay ang roadway. Kung, for example, in this case, sa picture na makita ninyo both sides of the road sa hub parking. So, magamay ang dalan. And then, of course, we're not failing. There are ways to do parking. Kaya ang parking ng good is really not just traffic application, but more on management application. And ang katanag sa parking study is really management at the same time design for the infrastructure para sa parking. So kung mo-tanaw ka ni sa drawing, murag kataonan kayo kay tanaw nimo unsang cluster sa parking, which is really just a robotic kind of thing. But actually, parking is designed in sense because you need to make sure your vehicle is appropriate for the design space that you're placing for the parking facility. At the same time, yung kung i-consider unsang design itsura sa parking that will accommodate the volume of parkers o ng pagtao nga mag-park. And then the type of vehicle that will be parking in your facility. So different parking application includes parking by type of parking, maybe inside or indoor or outdoor parking. Usually, kung surface parking, meaning on the ground lang siya, in this case, maybe wala ilain upper floor, just ground. So we call this surface parking. Pero surface parking, pwede siya na shelter, okay, indoor, or walay shelter, that's outdoor. So that's the type of parking for a surface parking, which is indoor and outdoor. The other one is type of parking in terms of the application. So pwede siya curb parking, so morning curb sa dalan, and then you notice na ng sidewalk and space for sa pedestrian. So this is a curve on the road. So this is now curb parking ang tawag because it's 90 degree to the travel lane of the road network. So it's curb parking because ang imong cluster is 90 degree to the curve of the road. Now, pwede po ka mag-curb parking pero dili dapit sa road network. But rather, it's a private garage or parking space area. So this is off-street parking or surface parking on a given area nga may be provided by the government or somebody nga mag-allow sa imo for that space. Either bayaran or dili bayaran. So it's maybe free or not free. Basta kay off-street parking, kaya wala siya sa dalan. Now, on-street parking is opposite to off-street parking because kung sa off-street na kay parking garage, kani siya wala kay kanang nara ka sa dalan. So it's a free parking when you're on the road but provided kung ang government, ang RTA, will allow on-street parking because again, magamay man ang dalan kung ay on-street parking. Then we have off-street elevated parking. So it's similar to this one kay private garage, kaya lang elevated parking. In this case, ang iyang parking space is actually a framework, metal framework where more siya scaffolding set up. Okay. And then we have elevated parking po nga automated. Okay, automated is na robotic application, na electronic application, and then na forklift. So na ay magsaka og naog sa sakyanan. So it's like using an elevator for a special facility which is for parking only. So this is conveyor type na automated. So parking will be placed on each level. This is elevator type, saka nimo from one level to the next. But it's all robotic application and automated ang inyong parking. Now this one is a very nice parking. This is the same to the idea katong ganina nga scaffolding, metal frame kani siya kay aesthetically gibutangan lang siya beauty para dili kayo eyesore o pangit tan-awon ang parking sa usa ka parking area. This is the one which is automated from the entry upgrade, no? From the entry sa parking space, dili siya necessary basement but rather upper floor vertical parking. So from the bottom to the upper level of parking. This one is basement type, so you go into this automated rotating shaft and then place your car and then manaog siya sa different level of which imong car ma-align in terms of parking. So this is rotary type. Circle man ang iyang parking area. This is rectangle or and a space area which is actually vertical and the regular parking that we have. Okay, this is the sample for vertical circular parking. It's both automated and robotic type. So you lift the car from one ground to the upper level so that you can have your parking space. This one I've seen in Japan, in Tokyo. You go into a hotel maybe and then park your car in a certain area, nasa rotary shaft, and then ipanaog niya ang parking space. Okay, so there are also parking controls, so sign signals, markings, even signal parking here will guide the light sa gabi. This is actually by sensor or remote sensing. Pag naimulabay, masiga siya. Pag wala, mapalong siya. This is kanang wall markings or column markings that we place on the column so that dili siya mabanggaan. It's like the K marker that we have before sa atong speed control. Okay. And then sometimes na siya mga lighting if you're going for upper level or lower level, so na. And then of course kung automated in the sense na kung nani sulod nga parking, musiga ang numbers to tell us that there's parking space. No red means to say there's no available parking space. So in this case, sa level 1 we have available 11 parking space. Upper level we have 200. It's all in green, so therefore it's still available for parking. This is the parking meter, the more applied new parking meter. Kaya sa una coins naman siya, no? If you notice, like coins na slot. But now we can also do the Visa or the card type of automated parking meter where you can just pay through your credit card or whatnot. And then this is the sample of parking by vehicle application, which is bicycle and the bicycle rack. Okay, these are bicycle rack. And then we have this type of this vehicle rack na ay vertical, na ay horizontal, na ay level, o na ay on-street and off-street po yung application. So this is on-street, but you have a space for parking for bicycle. This is vertical, this is off-street, this is actually on the sidewalk. And then of course, this is a school area na kay rack. And then this one. This is parking space garage. This is actually elevated parking sa mga cyclists. Usually nasa mga school or sa mga train stations. And then this is truck parking. Okay, designed for truck parking, needs the space requirement, control system, na sila number and coding sa mga logistics application, and then na silang maneuver aisle. And then this one, automated pagsulod, tollway system. Pag makita nilang plate number, automatic sila ma-assign to a certain location for parking, and then paggawas nila, they are also released, and then ay payment sa ilang service area related to pag-parking ka. Usually, this is used in a shipping line or shipment area sa mga pier and harbor when they carry logistics, sa mga port area, airport for example, etc. So this is bus parking, very similar to truck parking, but of course a bus, ang atong concern is not logistics but rather passenger or commuters, no? So we have one level bus, singular level, maybe school bus type. But there are also double decker or two level buses. This one is an example of two level buses. And this is the sample that we have for katong sa traffic control, speed control. We have this as the bollards, no? To protect the people from the sidewalk or the entryway from the parking areas of mga bollard. So these are samples of the control system for that and channels. And then we have motorcycle parking. The same with bicycle parking. Pavement signs and markings and control for motorcycle parking. And then we have parking service. So I mentioned before, you can do automated, you can do manual. Manual is plate number, and then automated is na ay centralized parking system sila, and then pauna ninyo ang data information dito. Then ang uban, we will have the camera. So handheld camera to get and scan plate numbers, no? But this is manual, no? Somebody who's taking care of parking on the road, enforcer maybe, or private security, will take the numbers on the parking space and then get the scanned ID of the license plate. There's also automated, so you have a CCTV camera when you have to go into entry and exit of a given location. You have CCTV camera na siya can identifier para sa plate number sa sunod nga sakyanan sa area. So usually naman plate numbers will be logged, and then of course this can be checked, monitored, and then filed in terms of application and degree of recognition kung sa type of car, kinsa ang owner, and so forth and so on. So this is the one which is an example kato na ay scanner, no? Na person will just scan the plate number. Usually it can be done by scanning or taking pictures, or you can also do it this way, no? You just take the manual using a parking service sheet form. And then design consideration, as I mentioned, is the maneuvering aisle, kung pag-exit and pag-backing and pag-set niya sa parking space. And then ang iya din walkway, street curve, okay, street curve din hi. Usually ang car ko i-park na nimo sa dalan, so magawas to ang driver and then moagi siya sa street curve, no? Kay private parking man siya. And then you have the parking space, the entire area is the parking space. And then each area's parking space is also allocated by number, pila ka space ang available for parking. So you have area in terms of length and width, and therefore naakay idea pila ka buk ma-accommodate nga parking spaces para sa imong isa ka parking area. And then interior driveway is ang center main aisle sa imong pag-exit and entry. Pwede siya pareha, so you have entry and then exit sa other hand. Pwede po nga entry lang maybe, and then dito ang exit. So it's either the entry and egress of a parking space. And then, of course, landscape island, because in the middle, you have to have spacing in between para ang iyahang, di siya mag-head-to-head sa iyahang front, no, ang mga sakyanan. So, you have a landscape island, which about 10% of the area that you will have for parking space. And then, access driveway is, of course, ang driveway is actually this one from the entry of the road. So, kung naka-street, so, access driveway is actually murag road right of way paingon sa imong parking area. And then, entry egress is actually pag-maneuver, asa siya mag-enter and mag-egress. So, the design should be consistent with how you expect people to get in and off the space and entry and exit to the driveway. So, that's the consideration for parking design. So, this is just for the infrastructure, no? When you have a infrastructure which is as a facility for parking, usually ang atong parking space is paved or unpaved. So kung paved siya, that you may have to spend and budget for the space design. But if it's unpaved, it's the same, kaya lang at in cost, in terms of cost, mas nakabarato ka because if your space is not covered by concrete or a paved area, so you can have it in gravel na lang. So that's a more or less a more economically sound na parking area. But if you want it to be more aesthetically efficient for drivers to maneuver to that area, especially kung imuhang i-cater nga client is drivers who are in terms of logistics, trucks and trailers or buses, then you have to have a better design for parking lot application. Okay, so these are the different considerations. Another one, other than the fact that there's a design for your parking, is the way you convey to your drivers na how they will park on your facility. So it could be that the design for parking is 90-degree, angled, or 45-degree, and special design should indicate sa pavement marking kung saan nila pag-position ang imong parking. So it's not just enough that you're telling them that there's an infrastructure given, but also you actually educate the parkers how they will use the facility and then make it convenient for them to get in and off your parking area. So this is maneuver for a certain special car lang, na 4-wheel car. This is a maneuver for a trailer truck. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 axle type. So that's a front, then 4 axle on the sa likod. So that is maneuver para siya makasulod in and out sa aisle sa parking space and then mag-exit entry sa driveway. So this is an example of that, no? It's not always that a truck and trailer can go in and out easily compared to a 4-wheel vehicle. So you have to consider the head and the back. Head and the back, or what we call as a part and a trailer concept, trailer truck concept is that it's actually and need for some like a radius of maneuver within and outside the facility that you are designing. Okay, so let's just have the idea here on a straight back. So if you have a very good space in the aisle, center aisle, you can always just get in and off your parking space. But if it's not that, tendency is you have offset back, so that's actually offset, and he will try to maneuver on a curve towards the parking area. That is because ang ihang straight back is really easy, but here you have to have an offset distance because then you have to allow the trailer truck to position properly on the given allocated space. And then you have alley dock. Usually the alley dock is when entry egress is different from the usual, so you have to consider that the back of the trailer truck will have to have been offset from the actual parking space, no? So the maneuver is called alley dock. And then of course, parallel parking is easier, just get in and off the parallel area. So that is allocated na in terms of length, mas wider compared sa straightforward application, offset or alley dock. And then these are the examples of the 90-degree parking, parallel, 30, and 45-degree parking. This is for regular cars, and then the design based on the curve position. Okay, so that's the actual one. You have double row, single row application as well. Double is duha sila, mag front to front or side to side. And then this is an example of 90-degree, back to back. And then this is single row, no? Single row but at different angles. Okay, so some applications of parking controls na padayon is the signs and markings on the pavement or on the side or on the wall, no? These are very important items, especially for control of speed, control of parking, and then sa ka-elevated or ground area nga parking. And then of course, if there are parking with special application for special people who have certain needs. So this is for parking for hospital or facility for PWD. Okay, level of parking is designed to be a marking on the wall. P2 meaning second level of parking. P1 is parking 1 or level 1 and so forth and so on. So sa basement, you usually have the same principle but you have maybe basement 1 parking, basement 2 parking and so forth. Okay, this is the design for PWD. Usually from the car, they get off and then therefore there's an access pavement area for as a ramp, no, serving as ramp for those in PWD on wheel. And usually because this is an elevated area, it could be nga pwede siya na ay gamay nga ramp on the side. Pwede po nga wala siya ramp but diretso siya nga section nga naka pavement lang marking to indicate this is the aisle for the maneuver from the car towards the ground for those with wheels or PWDs on wheels. Okay, some design of parking will include aesthetic, no? Kay usahay, pag tanaw niyong parking, boring kay siya, pangit siya tanaw. So, some people will have a design for parking space with aesthetics. So, you can do planter's box, and hide the view of the parking, and make the parking more, uh, more environmentally friendly, at the same time more aesthetically nice to look at, despite the fact that parking itself is a accumulation of space that's actually um, not a good area to look at when you have different parking on that area. So this is the example that I gave you. So if you look at it in space, boring kay siya. Wala lang siyang basketball court na walay basketball player na mo siya garage lang, a garage, no junk shop for car. So you have to make it aesthetically sound and aesthetically nice for to blend with the community and the environment of the parking. So this is how they do it sometimes. No, nga din ang parking space, no, but you can see the aesthetics that they put in place in terms of architecture design for parking. And then this is parking garage, and then it's parking on the side sa residential area. So notice on one side, this is not a curb, but this is maybe amenity sa usa ka subdivision ay amenity like swimming pool or gym or basketball court and so forth. So this is the one which made available for parking, but on the side that is for residential area, maybe condominiums or whatnot, and therefore parking is not allowed in this area. And this one that I gave a while ago is parking katong sa vertical na metal framework ka scaffolds. And then of course, intelligent parking systems, so na mga sensor, pwede sa cellphone, pwede sa card, pwede sa remote sensing and CCTV, and then of course, kaning mga tawag na tong headlights that will overhead lights sa ceiling that will indicate if there are parkers, green, no parking, red, and so forth. Okay, then parking facility for pavement applications, you have pavement marking, so entrance, exit, and then of course there are already parking which are made more aesthetically sound because they place a green area or blue area making a colorful design, or maybe area which has a specialized pavement, in this case the tile or the brick, and then this one is the one which is new now, I forgot the term here. This is a new pavement application with using grass material to make the area more feasible for infiltration and disposal of water for drainage. Okay, so let's go to one example of analysis for parking. Okay, so this is a study. Kita ninyo? Kita ninyo?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
sige. So this is on-street parking evaluation in Divisoria, Cagayan de Oro City. This is done by my students then before, Engineer Alfaro, Engineer Bair, Engineer Kamamot, and Engineer Escalante. All of them already graduated sometime like 6 years ago. And this was one research na ilang gi-publish, ilang gi-submit sa Eastern Asia Society of Transportation Study, East. So karon this is the week na nakoy East mo ng since atong last week na ingon ko na I'll allow you the time to work on your own with the exercises that I have, because I have to attend and join the East Conference in Hiroshima, Japan. So kaya ganun na I just no Friday and Saturday I am part of a team which is working on the MANCOM for the Women in Transportation Leadership for engineering researches related to the Early Career Forum for students in graduate level and masteral level and doctoral level. So that was Friday and Saturday. So nag-mentor and advise ko sa mga international students. Today, I attended the International Research Group na part ko, which is flood and disaster application, which is hosted by Nihon University, and then partners namo is LaSalle for Philippines, LaSalle, and Xavier representing me. LaSalle is Dr. Filoni, and some members in India, Indonesia, Thailand, Cambodia, and so forth and so on. Sa Asia lang siya. And then tomorrow, I will attend again for Sir Jeff. He will be presenting the study of uh, Kuya Osha ninyo, si Kuya John. And then I will be attending because co-author ko sa ilang paper. So, in this case, I am the author. I'm one of the author of my students because I advised them from start to end, and then they consulted me on the different details of this presentation. So, the presenter is actually David Alfaro. I'm sorry, the presenter is Francisca Momot, and the entire document is made by David Alfaro, so who's currently working. See, Kamomot is working in Manila and David is in Cebu. So parking study of Divisoria was intended to look at if it is viable to have a parking facility which is delimiting or restricting on-street parking, because our issue is parking in Divisoria is not convenient for some people, labi na sa mga driver, because the spacing itself is already limited. So we avoid na to ang on-street parking, but at the same time we look at unsay opportunity para ta maka-improve sa atong parking sa Cagayan de Oro City, particularly sa Divisoria area. So parking ilang gihatag ang concept that it's both on-street and off-street, as I mentioned kaganina. And then of course di pakita nila ang mga problem related to parking. Nganong naay mga parking sa Cagayan and nganong mahimo siyang problema sa dalan. Okay, so iyon ipakita ang mga research question na gusto niya mahibawan. Basically, ang baseline kung saan existing supply and demand of parking in the area of Divisoria, and what can be the benefit of researching or doing something with a parking for the downtown area in Divisoria. So general objectives nila, to conduct parking evaluation, and then in specific to determine baseline to provide parking facility policy recommendation and so forth. So sa ilahang first specific objective nakabutang yung baseline parking supply and demand. So supply is unsang infrastructure or ang available parking karon. Demand is pila ang nanginahanglan, kinsay nanginahanglan, nganong na panghinahanglan, so that's demand. And then ang pag-conduct sa supply and demand is basically a concept of supply, occupancy, and turnover survey. So they conducted survey para makuha nila ang existing parking facility, and then unsa ang ilang calculation in terms of accommodating everyone in terms of supply. So this is the equation. I'm sure nakita na ninyo dito sa inyong makita na ninyo sa inyong handouts later on. So supply is basically a function of time. No? Function of time because usually ang road user mag-park siya for a certain time frame. And usually, that's the reason nga, ang pagbayad sa parking is basically not the space, but more or less sa time nga imo siya gigamit ang usa ka parking space. Okay, sa demand naman is a function of time, at the same time, the number of space that you are allocating. So that's the N, number of space that you are allocating. So normally, assume nato nga ang usa ka space will be used for a certain time. And sa road manggod, ang problem nato is kung on-street parking siya, and then naay tao nga magamit sa usa ka parking space kay gibutang man nga on-street parking is allowed. So sige, let's have it on-street parking will allow somebody to park. But of course, over time, kung gamitan niya ang usa ka space over time, that's a monopoly, no? Because on-street parking is free for everybody, and therefore it's extending the fact that everybody can use it for a certain time, so that naay permanente nga turnover. And the turnover would mean daghan na kagamit adto nga space. Let's say ang parking space ID niya is parking space 10. Okay, so si parking space 10 is ID'd to be used for an intended number of time from maybe morning until evening. But over time, kabalutan nga naay mosulod sa iya para mo-park ng space nga 10. So we are looking at pila ka book ang nakagamit kang space number 10 or ID number 10. So if it is one person only, then that's a monopoly. One person meaning one parker from morning to evening, iyang monopolize ang space para sa iyang convenience, making it his own garage or her own garage, which is wrong. On-street parking is for everybody. So it only becomes useful in terms of demand when over time, from morning to afternoon, daghan ang nagpark kang ID number o parking space number 10. So, expected na to, let's say, a parking will only park for 30 minutes kay mura iya kailangan nga space or 1 hour. So, maybe over time, at the end of the day, maybe we will have 20 parkers or 30 parkers. And that is good because we are turning over a number of people as parkers and then walay monopoly nga nahitabo. So, that's end time in terms of demand. So, in the terms of analyzing parking, then we look at turnover. So, the rate of exchange of vehicles in there. So, maybe ang mag-exchange is na ay nag-park karon, ang car is a four-wheel car, then white color siya, and then Toyota siya nga brand. Next is na ay pick up. Four-wheel, yung brand, kan. Then, over time, so na ay daghan kay unique characteristics na vehicle na nag-park sa isa ka ID number parking space 10. So therefore, unique ang iyang turnover and therefore, makaingon ka nga highly optimized in terms of usage to a certain optimum number of space. Ang inyong isa ka parking area will be utilized by everyone with respect to the exchange or the rate of exchange which is called as a turnover. Okay, so methodology-wise, nagkuha sila data, nag-analyze, and nag-recommend. So this is the area, nag-inventory mo sila as baseline area. So they made block system sa isa ka area sa Cagayan, sa downtown area. So ilalang gilimit within Capistrano, J.R. Borja, and then Hay Street, no? Phil Mortola sa likod sa Orama and front sa Xavier. This is front of Xavier until Capistrano, no? Capistrano is near Cathedral Road. And then, of course, ito din count. So, this is the survey sheet, no? So, na ay Monday influx of traffic, meaning, daghang park on a Monday because mo man ang things start sa isa ka semana. Naiuban, pag ma-feel nila nga, dili na nila madid ang cars, yung bili na sa balay, saka sila public transport or taxis, wala sila nagamit of traffic. So, usually, Monday is a day where a lot of traffic situation happens over time pag start sa week. And then Wednesday sometimes become a stable conditions because nag-abot naman sa middle of the week. So sometimes people will be parking only for certain duration. So mo ang pinaka-stable. Then Friday also, pero usually Friday wala na mega park pag uli na sila sa ilang mga probinsya. So they don't like also to bring their car or because Friday night, manglaag na sila, mag-taxi nga dahil pagpauli. So, something like that. So, there's dynamics in terms of parking and the usage of parking by individuals who bring their car. So, this is parking plate number, okay? And then, vehicle type, VT, also nga type of car. So, na abbreviations. And then, of course, time and then count, ano? So, kanang mga kanisya, kaning CO, which is, kalimut ko sa ang CO. I think it's car out. Let me see. Car out. Yeah, car out or vehicle out. Okay. So, kung naka-CO na siya, tug mean nga napulihan siya sa next na time na space. So that's the CO. So, kung wala, that means to say na-retain siya nga plate number for a certain time. So, kung na-retain siya, would mean it's from 8 to 8:30 and then kani siya ni motorcycle nga 1676 QJ ni park siya within 8 to 8:30 pero gawas na dayon siya. So dili necessary nga nagstay siya overtime. So that's it. So this is how you look at traffic data for parking. Okay. So ang phase 2 is data analysis. So duha yung determine. You have the baseline parking supply and then the demand and then evaluation of existing parking facilities. So, this is the data now. Kaya ang parking space hours is terms of number of space. So, in this case, kay 37 man siya. So, makita nimo pag-complete dayon pila ka times na gamit ang usa ka parking space, no? Over time. So, you have about maybe itong sa map, daghan kay parking on street, no? Pwede siya makapark on street. And then, so therefore, ang yang i-assume kay you have about 735 space utilized from 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock. So that means, kanang space, bisan nag-repeat siya, no? Let's say, si parking ID 1, 10, ganina. So, kung isa na ko siya space, meaning to say, ang inventory could be, ang gamay ragid ang space, no? But then, over time, kaya pwede na siya balik-balikan, so nahimo nga, naka 735 ka at the end of the day nga spaces na na-utilize from 8 to 5 p.m. So usually, if you translate that to space R, meaning pila to ka parking space ang available and then the number of vehicles that are using that space, a total of 66,612. Not bad. Kung nakakang business of making parking as your revenue generating project, then of course, 6,600 space R from just one day, no, 8 to 5 p.m. is already very lucrative if you lucrative business if you want parkers to park on your area. So it's, say for example lang 10 pesos per hour. That's already 6,612 pesos at the end of the day for the Visoria area, you know. So if you do not have that in sense, kana siya, no, dili mo na siya ingon nga tanan space na ay parking. But if you look at pilay gusto mag-need sa parking, that's the one that we're seeing here. It's about 6,612. So if you put a facility sa isa lang ka section ani nga facility, okay, and then place that as a vertical parking, pretty sure everybody will use that facility because if dili na available on street parking, then they will be forced to go for garage parking or off street parking. So this is the demand from Monday and then Wednesday, kay mura man lang i-investigate. So total Monday demand is about 7,630 and Wednesday demand more stable is 7,400. Okay, so check na nila asa ang mga area nga may available parking, no? And then asa mga area nga inadequate o critical. So critical would mean daghan the park anang area. So this is the one which is colored yellow, and then ang blue is adequate enough yung parking area, and red kay kulang gid ang parking area. So usually sulod ang mga tao dinhi magtuyok-tuyok mangita og parking pero puno na gid kayo siya, no, if you look at it that way. So this is Monday and then the other one is actually Wednesday nga investigation. So if you look at the pattern from Monday to Wednesday, then makita nimo nga these are areas which are critical karon to look at because there are days in the week na high kayo ang demand. There are also days in the week na low ang demand. Okay, so adequacy per block na dayon because each block is numbered from 1 to 35 based on the area na sa map. So adequacy for map 37 ka book parking available space on that given block, and then pila ang inadequate and ang uban adequate. So, hindi pa lang sa drawing kabalo naman kaasang adequate o dili adequate. This is only just showing here pila ang value nga inadequate kay katong ganina, you just showing the map where, no, spatial. This is quantitative. So, din ipakita pila ang need niya. So, the positive means nasa taas, negative means inadequate sa ubos from the zero line. And then, of course, based on the turnover, ba? Every time na isa ka space, kapila siya na napuli-pulihan. So, let's say, 20, number 20 nga block. Okay, asa man si 20 nga block? 20 is here, blue, and then 20 here is white. So, sometimes critical, sometimes adequate. So, si 20, gamit kayo because if you look at here, puli-puli lang sila, So that means na inisulod, gawas, kadjut lang, na inisulod gawas, so dali ra kaayo. Na uban nga, dili inana, so siguro kaning area sa 36, grabe na ang parking niya. Na monopoly gamay, 36. Where is 36? Yeah, din sa dapit niya space. This is around Civil University area in Mortola. Wait, let me see. Where is this? Mortola. Corrales. Yeah, sorry ha. Kung makita ninyo, namanggoy section din sa likod nga dapit sa between Orama and kuan mo ning gamay nga dalan dapit sa Maxandria. So naigalan diha. So although dili na siya putol but actually Xavier is here, no. So gi-assume nang yan nga space din nga napay ga parking area. So that's part of barangay 36 and 37 actually sa original nga map. So if you look at 36 is under kaayo, no, inadequate. At the same time, gamay kay turnover. So nagpark siguro ani kay mga private nga mga tag-iya sa parking area. Private in the sense kay residential naman ang abay sa Xavier. So this line here, residential na siya diya sa Mortola. So ang nagpark siguro banhi kay mga katuraw na adin hinga park ng mga tag-iya sa balay nila. It's not actually totally public. Okay. So that's a turnover map, and then of course yan ang ipakita where na part nga nakaingon ka occupancy exit supply, and then occupancy less supply for the whole area at certain peak time of the day. So let's say here nakita nila on the average that it's actually 3 to 4 o'clock na peak parking hour. Daghan kay ga park ana nga time sa Divisoria area. Okay. Okay, so then analysis and synthesis, ingon siya, analysis should show that demand is greater than the supply. So that means under supply ang area. Kulang ang parking. So demand is greater than supply. So asa ang occupancy ga-exceed? It's between 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So then low ang turnover kay na mga areas nga ay monopoly of parking on street, no? So na mga gang-park more than 3 to 5 hours and so, walay nag-sheriff ng mga RTA kaya dili pa na nila nga trabaho sa una ang pag-look at sa parking area. And mostly, ang mga parking space sa isa ka block is inadequate. So, sa implications, ilang gibuta, allotted space for parking is exceeded, increasing difficulty in finding a space for parking, monopoly of parking space, and demand for parking is not met. This is a policy application. So, these are the conclusions in terms of the results. And these are the measures that will be more beneficial to the study of parking. So, there are parking controls, maybe butangan nimo og parking meter, etc. Off-street parking facility, kung mag-invest ang government of vertical parking, sila mag-create sa revenue for parking. And then, over time, permita mag-check sa parking inventory para ma-check na to pila nang hinahanglan din nga parking sa usa ka dalan o sa ka downtown area. And then, public transport vehicles and facility development. So, para dili kayo daghan tao magamit sa parking, so i-avoid na to nga magdala sila ilang own sakyanan sa dalan. So, they should use jeepney and so forth so that magamay atong parking requirements sa downtown area. And then, of course, vehicle registration and usage. So, na mga vehicles man good nga, kanang dili sila allow parking kadagko sila or gamay ra kay sila. Let's say, motorcycle is not to be parking on a four-wheel parking space. Dito siya sa mga motorcycle parking area. And then, of course, ang ilahang registration, for example, kung bus sila or trucks, dili sila parking sa downtown area. Kaya dili sila, dili appropriate ang ilang design para sa parking space sa on-street. So, these are the references and so forth. Okay. Nasabtan to, so far, nasabtan to,
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sige. So, the data that I have for you then, for parking is inani kesa ha. Kusang stop. Let me just check asan ako nabutang ha. Exercise number 3. Parking study. Okay, so this is the parking that we have for campus in Sept University, no? So, the facility for parking within the campus actually runs from 1 to, I think, about 20 naman ni minus because there are portions na wala na na-allow for parking as of present. But, kani mga section like number 1, number 7, number 2, existing na silang uban. I think ang nawala din nga parking area is kanin dapit sa 9 o kani karon sa Faber Hall yan nga area. Not sure lang tanong sa nako ha. Pero this is the entire inventory of parking in Xavier University. So kanang 17 for everyone's information. 17 is actually pertaining to SM building, SBM building frontage nga na parking. Ang 16 kay sa likod nga area. which is accommodated for the covered court. But right now, kaning 16, medyo ilan na ning gisirado. Ang 17 na lang ilang gibiling sa SBM. Okay, number 4, parking here. Mano siyang parking sa mga presidents and vice president. Likod sa, dapit sa clinic nga area. And then, Loyola House sa mga pari. And then, kanina yung Campion Hall. Actually, kaning Campion Hall is number 3. Mami siya katong sa mga law students sa Locus Hall. Mag-park sila after 5 o'clock. Locus Hall and Campion Hall. Mag-park sila after 5 o'clock kaya na may mag-eskwela sa mga masteral, doctoral, and whatnot. Hindi sa Locus Hall. So, avail na sila nga parking number 3. Kaning in between, kaning 15 is actually parking sa mga personnel nga nag-motorcycle, single motorcycle. So, naman tayo mga trabahante sa university no, gadi sila the car, but yung motorcycle. So, this is between the Xavier Hall and then library. So, naadiha area nga. Katong karaan nga library, dili ang new, no? This is the new library na parking diha. And then, parking dapit sa gym. Dili. Parking sa simbahan, kilid, beside the Catholic the Immaculate Conception Chapel, kani siya na parking space diha. And then, dapit sa gym is number 14. This is for agricultural building. Na silang entry, exit din nga part sa gate sa gym. Sa ato we have likod sa engineering, number 20. That's a parking between medicine students and engineering students. Parking for faculty and staff, number 12. Sa engineering, and then 11 sa Faber Hall. And I think ang 9, gamay na lang ni kang parking tungod kay exit man na siya, emergency exit man ni paingon sa K Street ang kaninga dalan. So, I think yellow, ani kay kuha na lang ka parking. Duha naman lang yata. Then 19 is for motorcycle parking sa atong mga staff and personnel nga motorcycle. 18 is parking for kaning sa mga kaning atong university nga kaning PPO. They are into cleaning our university, maintaining repairs and whatnot, and construction. So, din ilang mga sakyanan sa 18 ibutang, usually dump truck. And then, of course, they use the back 13 for the kuan po ilang mga heavy equipment, and then, of course, allow po ang SBM mag-park sa likod, labi na sa faculty. So, that's the parking space in Xavier Campus. So far, na may dili familiar nga parking area within the campus. Yes, sa numbers. Or number may gusto i-identify nga parking area nga wala nakabutang sa number here.
Nay katong loading area sa Kanmagis, ma'am? Katong loading area sa Magis, na ba tao to?
Loading area sa Magis, kaning din nga side? Oo. Ang loading area sa Magis, wala gi-appeal nga parking because they consider na lang siya og emergency. This is usually for canteen, loading and unloading. So, karon gibutangan naman na siya og how do you call this? Gibutangan siya og bollards para di gid siya mosulod na ang mga vehicle o van. Manay of times, abili siya bollard katong marker nga no entry, marking control marking nga no entry. Pero sometimes gina-allow siya, but most of the time ginasirado na ni siya. So pero dinhi ng frontage gid sa atong canteen ay available dia nga gibutang nga space. That's for loading and unloading sa mga grocery and whatnot gikan sa canteen. And then dinhi front sa front sa chapel na kay nakita din nga rectangle space. Emergency na siya para sa kanabit ang nagsimba and then naitabo. So, ang mga ambulance makasulod diretso din nga side. Isa ra na siya ka slot gibutang og yellow marking space. That's parking for emergency. And sa likod po dapit sa atong clinic, natay isa dinhi sa chapel likod daghan na sila parking. Na isa dinhi nga gibutangan og chain cordon by chain, metal chain. Kato siya ginagamit to siya 2 parking space para sa emergency car or fire. Ang mga drill na to sa kana earthquake diha nagibutang kanang mga police and whatnot. Nara siya space diha. Cordon na siyang area. Gamiton na siya for emergency parking. And usahay po gamiton na siya sa clinic para kung nga ay need sa pari na magpa-medical check-up, dali ra sila maka-entry exit sa campus. Na matigulang mga itong mga pari, usually doon sila sa clinic. Okay, so okay na? Familiar na mo? O basi na amnesia na mo, tanaw na lang ninyo ang map sa Xavier. Dugay-dugay na 1 year na kapin, wala klase-klase sa campus. So, okay, so you have the profile map here, and then you have profile A. So usually, parking supply has parking area number, naka-number din na. Pila ang length of width sa parking area. Length is in terms of kaning kilid, length niya. Ang width is pila imong ma-accommodate. So, pila ang ma-avail na mga space anang area. So, ilara man yung estimate sa mga student, kaya di man siya fix, wala man tayo rectangle with a box, no? Naalan tayo line, demarcating space. And then, ang nga type of parking, is it 90 degree on the curve, diagonal, parallel, or what not? And then, pila ang supply, so pila ang pila itong yung ma-exact nga supply sa parking, pila kabuk ang space allocated. And then, of course, ang parking space, length, width, and angle. So, kung natay parking lot area, kasi ako lang nato. Lang ha. So, natay dako kay nga parking lot area, no, kana gikan minhi paingon dito nga end, or kaning sa likod sa chapel from sa number 6 dinhi nga end paingon diha. So, kung mama siyang length ang width niya, imo man ang i-subdivide pila dayon kabuk car ang masulod. So, let's say kanay from din to end is only 15 cars, so that means that's your numbering the spaces 1 to 15 nga ID under sa area 6. So that's how you place it here, no? Then, unsa iyang position para at least ma-accommodate mo daghan. So this is time, weekly road data. Ipakuha na ko sa ilaha from 7 in the morning until 5 in the afternoon. So na mga slot, no? So, magkuha sila og manual data. Wala pa man ginagamit sa cellphone sa una. So, ang among ginabuhat is only kanang data sheet. So, every slot, let's say, 20 ka slot ang number 16. Say, for example, kani siya number 6 na 20, pintahay ka slot. If na siya 20 ka slot, so pinaka-book ang nag-park ani. O nabay nag-park o walay nag-park sa 7 to 8 a.m. So, tuyok sila every 30 minutes to check kung na ay nisulod, na nigawas, o na napulihan, o wala napulihan na nag-park using license plate survey. So, this is only for the week, which is week 1, and then another one for week 2. And then, pag makompleto nila na, so, napod sila identifier kung sa nga type of vehicle, no? Nag-park, is it car, SUV, AUV, pickup, motorcycle, Motorola, or truck. Tamantay ba sa campus. Then, of course, nasa like computation. This is the sample layout for the total percent, pila kabukan naka total parking space, pila ang nagamit nga parking space sa usa ka time frame, and sa kung 10 hour ang nibasihan, pila din ang iyang 10 hour nga parking load. Okay, so that's the one there. Okay. Ang computation sa turnover is pilay nakagamit within a certain hour. So, less than 1 hour, pilay nagpuli-puli, no? And then, kung nagpark ka between 1 to 2 hours, so pila ka book ang nagsakyan na nga nagpark. O na nagpark na good for 2 to 3 hours. So, about, let's say, almost 2 hours kung nagpark. So, mo din ko nga category mo belong. And then, more than the 5 hours. Meaning to say, monopoly na gamay. But there's no monopoly in the campus. Manggod kay na yung mga area sa campus, say for example sa mga president, ilahan man ang space ang number 4. So they are not police for that, no? Kasi this is their private parking in sense, no? Privileged kayo sa mga vice president o president nga na sila parking space. Kaya they are really highest in the rank in terms of administration. So, naa sila special parking allocation. So, naa na sila ang number 4 sa high, taas kay sila o utilization rate. No? Kaya na area nga taas po ang iyang usage for time. More than 5 hours na parking. In terms of the turnover here. And then, of course, you do the parking analysis for accumulation. You know, this is the important item. Accumulation, occupancy, okay, and then parking load, And then, parking efficiency. Kanang total parking load kay product lang na siya sa parking load. So, it's not that one. So, kana lang siya. So, there's a sample here for the computation for you to look at. I'll give you an handouts para at least ano po, yung sample exercises dayo. Sa ilaha, ikukuha na ko sila kanang pictures nga insert to show nga nag-survey gid sila sa area. Okay, so this one I could share to you na ko'y handout sa calculations para dali ra ni siya. Then this is just a sample para dali ra mo makahinumdum giun sa pag-solve niya. So far, is it everything okay? Okay, basi na yung mga tanan mo, mag-survey mi sa parking sa campus. No, na ko'y data for parking survey sa campus. I'll share that to you. Sometime siguro on the Friday. Kompleto naman yung group no, so I'll share this to you sa class sa Thursday and sa Friday. Just a review, and then exercise na nga dayon nga paganta mo. Dili ko kayo mag-lesson kaya naka-discuss na mo karon. Maghatag na ko sa exercise, and kung mapa-consultation mo sa Thursday sa inyong class or sa Friday, no problem. Basta kayo di na ko mag-lesson kaya mag-exam na sa 18. Okay? Okay. Okay ba? Everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sige. So, type of exam. Type of exam. So, one part is problem solving. So, you have analysis. And then, the other one is identification. It's not 50-50. Siguro mga 70-30 siya. 30 for identification, and then 70 for calculation. Okay, so again, I will have this as an advance notice for parking study. I will give the parking analysis on Thursday and Friday. So Thursday for E1, and then Friday for E2 and E3. Dili ko mag-lesson, mag-atagla ko sa exercise and a little bit of consultation lang so that you can focus on your exam on Saturday. Saturday exam is problem solving, 70%, 30% identification. And the exam will start at 6 o'clock. So I will open the examination Google form by 6 o'clock for everyone. Right now, I'm looking at individual for identification, and problem solving is triad. Okay ba na, everyone?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Sige.
Ma'am, may pangutana regarding the activity 2. Ang deadline na kay Friday appeal parang 3 and 4 or
Tanan sila. Ang 4 dili. Dili pa ang 4. Next week pa siguro ang 4, mga Saturday. Taas mo ng calculation sa 4. But, katong 2, 3, and 4. Sorry ha. Ang 1, naman data. 2, 3, and 4, yes. But speed included. And then, ang parking will be next week, Saturday.
so ang sabi ang assign sa exercises like same places pa or unsa like location?
Same grouping, you mean?
No, like I remember you said something about the location being assigned na daw sa Excel pero
Oo. This was already asked then by Jeff, no? You have to choose as a group sa inyong sulbon. Like say for example sa traffic volume, upat man to siya, so diretso kamutanan, upat. That there's no choice there kay pasolve gito ninyong upat, katong upat. And then katong sa intersection kay drawing ra man to ninyo, and then i-assign ang map layout sa traffic volume based on a 3-leg or 4-leg intersection. So ang katong intersection nga layout, you have to have 6, no? Naman to daghang table. So you have to have 6 there, and then practice solving how the layout would look like if you have 6 intersection. Regardless of 3-leg puros or 4-leg puros, that's just simply you choose 6 items for that intersection assignment. Okay? Yeah.
Yeah, but
And then,
kanang with regarding to solving or like to getting the data, kanang we find the data or nag-provide?
no, you choose man, na may freedom to choose amongst the data ang inyong hinuon.
So
Dili ko mag-dictate.
Excel?
Nana dito. Pilian lang to ninyo, Pete. You have to
Ay.
choose amongst the group. Kamulag kasi nabot. And then sa spot speed, I have like 5 or 6 man siguro to ka roads. We have Lumbia. We have, number of roads. So I only ask you to solve 3, I think. 3 lang. O ako nasayop 3. Choose lang yapon mo amongst the road nga data. Pila inyong spot speed adto.
Okay, ma'am.
Ay, daghan di kayo, no? Duha na lang di ay. Dako ra kayong spot speed na. Apa mga calculation sa spot speed and diagram. So, duha lang sa spot speed.
Okay.
Isa na lang daw, ma'am.
Ha? Unsa ko?
Isa na lang, ma'am. Kaya may 3 ka-activities.
Which one?
Ang katong spot speed, ma'am. Basin mo generous enough ka, ma'am, ba na?
Dali ko ma-generous enough ko, pero dili mauwi yung deserve. Na zero na mo sa inyong generous enough. Actually, kisa to ng mutana?
Potot, ma'am.
Carlo,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm giving you the option so that siguro sa Thursday and Friday, you can ask if supposedly magkaroon kay consultation sa spot speed. Diba? Wala pa mo nag-spot speed, no? Kaya the way I hear it, hindi mo ka-decide. Sige.
Murag naglibog rata sa instruction.
Yes. Sige lang. Sige lang.
Based on sa recording na
Sige
sa
lang.
previous discussion.
So, sa intersection, sa traffic volume, you have 4. Sa intersection, you have 6. And then sa spot speed, you have 2.
Ma'am, may question, ma'am.
Yes.
Sa exercise 2 kay trial A to D, ma'am, ang i-analyze.
Yeah, oo. Nga
Okay.
itong A and B, ang sagat itong A and B, nakalimot ko sa yung A and B.
Katong, kuan, ma'am.
Morning and afternoon man to, or peak or non-peak, no? Tama
A
ba?
to D siya, ma'am.
Anong A to D man?
Ay, kasi na-save ko, ma'am. Check sa kubalik, ma'am.
You mean the intersection, Jeff? Intersection, yung pasabot?
Mura, ma'am. Oo. Ay, ako sa i-check ka dyan, ma'am.
Oo.
Kasi po, kuan.
Ako remember, sa traffic volume, kay upat ka table na inyong solbon iyahang analysis, no? Nanamtay sample adto. Then, katong intersection, you have a lot of intersection there. Na 3-leg ang uban, na 4-leg ang uban. Ngun ko, you solve only 6. You just draw the diagrams represented and then do it para ma-master ninyo ang orientation sa traffic volume layout. Wala man tayo solbon anto, inyo naman tayo i-reflect as a layout. So that's 6. Ang spot speed, medyo siya medyo lisod ang spot speed. You have 2, and then I gave you spot speed handouts to das and an exercise to refer on for your analysis. Generous na ko, Carl, actually. Kay ako mong gitrayad. Pas 2 weeks pa gina siya.
Ma'am, excuse
Kaya
me, ma'am.
exercise
Thank
ako.
you.
Ang sama niya.
Atong by triad sa problem solving, ma'am, kay same grouping, man Japan, ma'am, no?
Yes, same grouping lang yapon, Mish. Carl, okay na ka?
Yes, ma'am. May problema, ma'am. Thank you, kayo.
Enough na siya kay. Kung isa mo na po na ako ang spot speed, dili ka niyo mag-practice, dili ba, tawag ani? Dili mahasa, no? Then, ang atong midterms kay problem solving, so you should make sure na mahasa mo. I do not delimit you from opening notes, no, when it comes to midterm exam. Because fairly, wala ko sa inyong atubangan to police you when you're opening notes, my PowerPoint, the handouts, and everything. But I just want to make sure that given the restriction of time and the the surprise of the midterm makes it more viable for me to assess you as my student kung nakasabot mo sa lesson or wala, kung kailangan mo i-flunk or i-pass, and so forth and so on. Sige. Will that be okay for everyone? Sige. Time check, it's already about 8:15. If wala na mo laing concern, I'll meet you on Thursday and Friday sa inyong class. I will not dwell with so much inputs for lessons, just consultation, and ako na ihatag ang exercise for parking so that makastart na sad mo sa parking, so that next week kung parking analysis ka, you can submit on Saturday. Saturday is more than enough para as a group you can do your parking application. So next week I will have lesson. I'll try to finish everything na. It's already the 3rd week of September. I want to finish everything so that you will have enough time to do all the calculations before sa final exam. And for me, para ma-compute na ko inyong grado before sa final exam. I'll have to check papers. Ang exercise 1, human naman ko. So, I'll just wait on your exercise 2, 3, and 4 to finish everything. Okay lang ba? Ang tanan tingog saan mo sing ano ba mas
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So 8:15 sign off na ta Jeff, palihog ko sa record, and then ako lang request for all biddles to make sure na all entries of the exercises will be in kay magrado rabi ko. Pag cut off na ko by 18, kay exam naman ang 18 no. I'm hoping that by that day bakalag 12 o'clock pa na sa gabi sa 18, you will have everything submitted already based on exercise 2, 3, and 4. So, instead na I'll have everything on the 17, I'll extend it for one more day sa 18 for you to submit everything sa akong requirement before sa midterm exam. Ayun na mo pag-apas na mag-analyze mo sa 18, kaya anong maka-focus mo sa inyong study sa midterms. So, just make sure on your own you finish on 17, and if kung mo na-delay or nakulangan, at least na mo one day to finish everything. Okay, so that will be all everyone. I'll see you
Last
Thursday,
mo,
Friday.
ma'am. No, 18 ang 11:59.
Yeah,
Okay, ma'am.
cut off ko, Mish. Thank you then kayo. Please do not forget sa folder, pariha sa first exercise, you have to have your document and then your Excel. Should be consistent ha, basi nagsabit mo Excel nga dili mao nga file. Sige na mo nahago na mo para mo ni Sir Jeff nga nagsubmit og dili mao. Kay natulog na siya hapit, so dili mao nga file yung na-submit niya. Nagrado man ko sa iya in terms of performance. So basing mag-submit mo na wrong inyong gi-submit, dili pariha sa inyong document nga gi-submit. So please make sure consistent siya kay magrado daya ko. If you improve on your Excel because you've calculated a lot of things and then change mo, just make sure nga butangan ninyo final, no, let's say exercise 2 mo na ning final para di mo ma-loss along the way sa inyong calculation. I'd like to plug before I go, transport team, I'd like to meet you all siguro next week Monday so that we can discuss your October activity for data collection. Okay lang ba? Apple and make sure you tell everyone. Sige. Ano lang. Good night everyone. Stay safe and God bless.
Right, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye, ma'am.
Yasumi.